Take it one step further. You're right.
You're right. Oh, she doesn't want to tell me.
Oh, that's so like, do you see the resistance that I mean, we're on video right now, so you can see that resistance of like, I don't know if I want to commit to that narrative that's been created or acknowledge it.
I want to take Jordan in my pocket.
Yeah,
Jordan,
do you come in a miniature version, like a keychain version that we can just carry on our,
Jordan,
keys?
help me. Help me. Damn, let's talk some shit.
It's Paulie Siegel,
And Victoria Aaron.
two licensed therapists who've spent way too much money on degrees, certifications, and trainings. We both love what we do and couldn't imagine working in any other profession. But we're forced to be serious all the time, and that gets boring. Shit Talking Shrinks discusses important mental health topics, the human experience, and society at large, while poking fun along the way. It won't be all fun and games because after every episode, you'll walk away with tangible tools to navigate life more effectively.
We love a tangible tool.
Okay, we are live. And I am so excited about our guest today, Jordan Dann. She's absolutely incredible. The work that you do in the community is just unparalleled. And I think it's such an honor to have you part of Shit Talking Shrinks in season 2. We tried to really choose guests intentionally, ones that are experts on topics, ones that have similar alignment with who Victoria and I are. And rupture and repair, when it comes to relationships, is imperative for every person that's either in a relationship or navigating dating and hoping to get into a relationship. And that's the topic of today is how to repair when there's been a rupture between you and a partner, or if you're polyamorous partners. And we're happy to have you.
And we know there's going to be ruptures too, right, Jordan? Like there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, and I would even include, I mean, this is true for all of our relationships, not only our romantic or intimate partnerships, but for the relationship you navigate with your therapist, for your friends, the having a conception that ruptures are inevitable and that the beauty of relationship is being in sync and being out of sync, and that actually ruptures are what actually creates an intimacy and deepens intimacy. Being able to find connection again after hurt or conflict has happened actually brings us closer. It's like, it really is like if you lift weights, you want to tear the muscle fibers because that builds strength. Or, I think it's the Japanese art. Can, can, can you help me? Kintsugi?
I don't know the word, but it's like the bowl that breaks and they fill it in with gold and it's just like stronger, more beautiful.
Exactly. That really part of the design of connection, not something that we're trying to eliminate or avoid. It's welcome.
So you're saying it's a good thing that I'm confrontational. I just got permission to be confrontational.
Well, Victoria, I would be more I would have to ask some questions about your style, but yeah, absolutely. If you know how to lean in to conflict, it's good.
Yeah. You know what's so interesting, and in my private practice, just working with clients who are in relationships, there's always this perception that fighting or getting into any sort of important topic that could lead to conflict is bad. And I hear a lot in these sessions, well, how do I avoid conflict? How do I limit conflict? How do I just create, smooth the waters? I don't want to ruffle feathers because that's bad for my relationship and that could lead to dangerous territory. And I think just from what I've learned and what you said is like rupture is important.
Absolutely.
Rupture allows for there to be growth and transformation and for couples to become stronger and more united.
Yeah, and even more, I would say, where we get where we where we experience friction or where we experience conflict, it's actually, not all the time. Sometimes, sometimes conflict is in the here and now. It's actually about what happened. But most of the time, conflict is some combination of the history that I carry and the history that you carry, and how our history, how we, activate each other's complexity of history in the moment. And so actually conflict is really this opportunity. It's like, thank you, you are showing to me where I am emotionally immature, where I am unhealed, where I am unstuck. And this is an opportunity for me to really lean in and get more information about this, because I think of conflict like, you know, if you think about like core scenes, the conflict that reoccurs in partnership dynamic, it's like every time there's a fire gets lit, you're burning off the vestiges of the past, and you're becoming like a phoenix.
So hot, sexy. Fighting is sexy. Conflict is sexy. This is amazing.
Yes, but you need to be skillful in how you have conflict, and that's where it gets complicated.
Well, this is like in season 1, Jordan, like when we talked about effective communication, right? Like it's like if you guys can be regulated and empathic towards each other and connected during conflict, what's hotter than that? Than like being able to get through it and then connect at an even deeper level, maybe by fucking, I don't know, but something. It's like you just get to this more robust level of yourself and of each other in the relationship.
Yes. Yeah. Because when we're doing that with awareness, with the fullness of ourselves, we're with all of each other's parts, as instead of um, just just the parts we like. It's like, to if my partner can be regulated enough to be able to say, like, some, I love interrelationship focusing, because it uses this really beautiful language where you move from, I'm so angry at you for doing that. That's like, I'm totally identified with the anger, and there's no other part of me. But when we learn to use parts work, when we start to be more in touch with ourselves, like, something in me feels really angry when this happens, or I'm sensing some anger in me when this happens. I can even notice that somatically for myself, just doing that kind of scaffolding. The last version, I'm sensing something in me that feels angry when you do that. I'm also feeling my vulnerability simultaneously.
Mm.
And then that makes more space for me, and it makes more space for my partner to be with all of that.
Yeah. Well, and as I hear that, I think probably a lot of listeners might be wondering, what's the definition of a rupture between two people?
Mhm.
I think probably the something that is useful in order to illustrate this is to kind of go to early attachment. An image that I love is, like, if you think, I ride, because I'm in New York, I ride the subway all the time. I'm always watching, parents and their children.
You feel New York.
What?
You feel New York. You just feel cool in New York and
You
it's
feel
such a
kind of New
vibe.
York to me too, Victoria.
Stop. That is like a dream. I love New York so much. Sorry, go ahead.
If you see, let's say a mother and a baby in a stroller facing each other, and they're, mirroring and attuning, they're making the same facial expressions. There's a there's a real exchange and a coordination that's happening between them. At some point, the baby gets overstimulated, like, there's a lot of excitement, and they will turn away. that turning away, you could even define as a rupture. It's a break in connection.
Mm.
Then the baby regulates and comes back, and after they feel, they've kind of gotten to homeostasis again, they come back into connection. A rupture, I think, is best defined as any moment where turning away occurs. Because what I experience as if I make an emotional bid for connection with my husband, if I say, "Hey, look at this thing I made," and he's on his phone, there's a rupture for me, but not for him. And so a rupture can be any moment where I feel missed, any moment where I've reached and haven't experienced a reach back. Um, and then ruptures get more sizable, like you didn't call when you said you were going to call. You didn't tell me about this, you know, uh, important piece of information. Um, or you didn't I'm always the one who initiates sex, or you know there was an infidelity. Like, ruptures move from very, very tiny to larger and larger. And the other thing that I think is really important to think about with ruptures is that, it's like I like with couples that I often will pick up a piece of paper, and I'm like, if you have a rupture and you have a little tear and you repair, the piece of paper stays in place, pretty much intact. But if you have a rupture and there's a little tear, and then you don't repair and there's another tear, and you don't repair and you don't repair, eventually the whole piece, the whole relationship gets torn. So that's where we all need to become more skillful, is um, is noticing when we fall out of sync, accepting that that's part of relating, and making repairs as quickly and as gracefully as possible.
So like I think about for listeners of Shit Talking Shrinks, they know like I was in a 9 years, no. Not that it's not close. It was like in a 7.5 year relationship. I left it 9 months ago. And 6 months into that relationship, there was a rupture. I caught my ex messaging and flirting with this girl that he worked with, who I had known, my intuition was like, this bitch is going to try and get in here, and she did, and he did. And down the line, right, 7.5 years down the line, it was still there. Like, I was like, "Oh, I'm over it. I'm over it." I was never over it. So it's like, how do you actually know when a rupture is repaired? Is that when your, like, nervous system is like, "I have no reaction to it," or, like, how how do you know internally that a rupture is, you know, glued back together and you're made stronger from it?
It's such a good question, and I think, like all good questions, there isn't one answer.
Sure, sure.
you know I think similar when well, you're kind of asking two questions. It's like, how how do I be honest with myself enough to recognize that I'm still needing something to feel like trust has been restored? Um, and then what do I need within the partnership to rebuild and restore that trust? Because I think, for couples that have experienced infidelity, like, that level of the lack of safety continues to come up. Um, and I think if it's still hot and it's still getting replayed in the present, some things needs to we need to give our attention to something, some part of us, something in the relationship dynamic, that is a kind of request or a process that like is going to restore the trust that has been broken.
I know for me, when I think about rupture and repair in my partnership, the telltale signs that a repair has been made is my nervous system feels regulated again. Like I'm not in a state of hyper arousal or hypo arousal. I'm just like right in that window of tolerance, and I feel safe and I feel comforted and grounded. And also, I find that I'm not ruminating, like cognitively, my brain's not replaying what happened anymore. I'm not trying to evaluate or solve for anything. Like my brain is sort of neutral around what happened. I don't know if that is what you see in your work, Jordan, but I think those are the telltale signs for me that like, hey, we're good. The paper has been glued again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what I'm hearing is like you feel like yourself and you have all of yourself available to you. And yeah, the tricky thing is you might feel that in a moment, and then if there's some stimulus, if a text comes through, or you witness an exchange with your partner that feels a little friendlier than your system likes, then you might be back in the story and back in the fear about the past.
Hmm. So in that case, because I think that that's really brilliant, that you might in one moment feel safe and in another moment feel triggered. How does the repair process look in an ongoing basis? So in that example, would you then say, "Hey, I'm feeling activated again. I'm needing connection. I'm needing to restore trust. I'm needing to feel safe again. Can we process this?" How would you advise listeners to readdress something that still has yuck that's lingering?
Yeah, well, I think I want to be careful because I think, you know, relation infidelity is relationship trauma on a much more sizable level, and the complexity, and at the same time, it's really common. So many relationships. I can't remember what the percentage of it is that though, but many relationships experience infidelity over the course of a partnership, and most of those relationships actually stay together. And so I think what the best case scenario is for any reoccurring conflict between a couple is knowing that what has been really painful, what has been a large rupture at some point, is gonna come back around again at some point. And the best thing that we can do is anticipate that. I mean, I think that is sounds so simplistic, but it's like this is the thing that I never cease to wonder at is couples come to couples therapy and they're like, we're having issues. Things were great for 2 years and now we're having problems. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, because that's how it goes. Like so anticipating that you're going to enter the power struggle, anticipating that you are going to fall out of the projected romantic ideals and then be with the realness of your humanity and another person's humanity is so important for relationships. But to just accept conflict is going to happen. It's if something has been hurtful, it's going to come back around. Finding out, like, being like being committed to developing your capacity for being aware of your body and expressing your emotional experience, um, that's the most important starting place. Knowing if you need to take a little pause or a break so that you can come into more regulation, so that you can have more of yourself to um, and you can have your reason and your rationale to actually describe what you understand from your perspective happened, be able to take responsibility for your part as quickly as possible. um, i'm I'm really sorry for the tone I just took for you with you. I really, that must have been hurtful. um, and to be curious about, like, to express commitment. It's really important to me that we figure this out together. I mean, I don't know if you know Terrence Real's work, but his whole conception is around moving out of a one person psychology of you versus me to us. You know, it's you and me together against this dynamic that happens.
Right. Same team. Same team.
Exactly. But I think it's that, like, the simplicity of that, what I just described is like, it's like, if partnership is a dance, then rupture and repair is a 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3
Yeah.
waltz. And the more we can embody that waltz so that it becomes easy, then we can just do it together, and then we go, and then we're back in sync and we can go on.
Yeah. So we are all about tangible tools. And so I think this is a perfect segue into that. If you could quickly define the most common ruptures that you see, just so people have, something to kind of evaluate. And then what are the best ways to repair in a really concrete way? And I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but
Also, before you put Jordan on the spot, I just have to say, like, I really hope our listeners are paying attention because there are tangible tools like throughout this whole bitch right now. Like, this is unreal. I mean, every single thing that Jordan has said, every single thing that we've talked about, it's like, write it down, live it, learn it, love it.
yes.
Well, I love this game. Let's collaborate in this. I like, you're asking for a kind of universal starting point. Two most common, one of the most, nature has done this extraordinary thing and has, created what I like to refer to as incompatible partnerships, which, I take some issue with. I think attachment styles has become so popularized and reductive, and it's helpful to a certain degree, but it is really, I think, so limiting in, like, in people's, I think it ends up, people pathologize themselves, and they know what their attachment style is, and that can it can, like, limit their capacity for flexibility and growth. So that's my little bugaboo about attachment. But
Fucking TikTok, fucking TikTok. My attachment style. It's like, bitch, shut up. Stop.
exactly.
No.
Ugh. But incompatible partnership, one of the ones that you see a lot are in imago therapy. We talk about maximizer and minimizer. An anxious style of attachment and an avoidant style. So a common rupture that happens is for a maximizer who has more of a kind of survival strategy or temperament around, um, fight or criticism or feeling responsible for the relationship. Might say, you don't tell me what your needs are. You don't tell me how you feel. And the minimizer will feel criticized,
Oof.
demanded, and withdraw or shut down.
My whole relationship.
Yeah, Victoria could talk a lot about her fucked up relationship because it was bad.
Well, you tell me, Victoria, when that pattern happened, then what happened next?
Oh my God, I chase. I'm the max. I'm be maximizing everything. So I just chase him down. I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And then he just would draw more and more like into a cave. And then I'd, take a flashlight and a spotlight into that cave. And I'm like, show me, you know?
Yeah, so that's a rupture, right? Distancing and pursuing is a dance of rupture. What repair would look like, I mean, again, this is tricky stuff because it means that, I mean, awareness, awareness is the sun that is shining down over this entire conversation that we're having.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you have enough awareness about your behavior and what you do, then what you could move out of this rupture is, let's see, I approach a repair might be, actually, if I maximize and I start to pursue, if I can catch it, I can take a breath and say, I'm sorry, I hear my tone right now. I want to just take a beat. What I'm really just trying to say is, I need, like, it really matters to me to hear what you're feeling.
Mm.
And if my partner has enough awareness, he can. My husband's gotten really good at this. He's a good student. Totally I take responsibility for not having shared that with you sooner. Or I can sense in me the part of me that just wants to avoid this.
Oh, your husband's good.
And then and then repair happened. So, I think that, like, we have to learn to yield. And we have, like, this is the other thing. It's like, for the most part, our partner tells us who we are. Like, they have a characterization of us. They tell us who we are. And we're like, I'm not like that. If you were just like this, then I wouldn't have to be like that,
Oh my God, that is hitting way too hard right now.
Jordan be hitting.
She always be hitting. I mean, that's why I'm obsessed with your Instagram. But that literally happened yesterday. I was like doing something and my partner Aaron was like, "Here's what I'm noticing," and like painted this picture of me and I'm like, "I'm not that way at all." Like, there's no way I could possibly be that way. That's a story you've created in your mind. That was my response, which is not good.
But Paulina, do it right now. Do the concrete behavioral takeaway. What's the opposite of that?
You mean what's the repair?
What's if you were going to yield to, what's your partner's name?
Aaron.
If you were going to yield to Aaron's depiction of you, what would that sound like?
Mm.
Take responsibility for it.
I'll just do it in my own words. I would say something like, I wasn't aware that I was showing up in that way. And I wasn't aware that I was evoking those feelings. And I will be more mindful around patterns that I'm perpetuating that's hurtful.
Ooh.
That's a great step. Take it one step further. You're right.
You're right. Oh, she doesn't want to tell me.
Oh, that's so, like, do you see the resistance that, I mean, we're on video right now, so you can see that resistance of like, I don't know if I want to commit to that narrative that's been created or acknowledge it. But I'm, yeah.
Yeah, no, well, I'm appreciating that you can sense that in your body, but do you want to be right or do you want to be in relationship?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who cares?
Who cares?
What are you defending? Like, what matters is your connection.
Jordan.
Yeah. Oh my God. I have goose pimples everywhere.
I want to take Jordan in my pocket.
Yeah, do you come in a miniature version, like a keychain version that we can just carry on our,
Jordan,
keys?
help me. Help me.
Wait, so going, because this is rich. So going back to my share, if I were to take it a step deeper, it would be like, you're right, I'm causing harm.
What is he accusing you of? What's the behavior?
That I manipulate things to get my way.
You're right. Sometimes when I really want something, I can use all sorts of strategies.
Ooh, she is just calm. She is clocking you, bitch.
It's good. It's good. I need my feathers to be ruffled a little bit. And I think, yeah, this is the realness of these dances when they're happening. That's very hard for me to say, but I think that is exactly what he needed to hear from me. And I didn't give him that.
If you put yourself in Aaron's shoes, can you see that he could experience you like that?
Yes, absolutely.
So there you go. Now there's no resistance. You said that immediately.
Yeah, and when I think about it, it is a childhood survival mechanisms because my needs weren't met easily, and so I got very strategic to get my needs met.
But that's the adaptive child. That's not you.
Right, right.
And so if you don't let your adaptive child hear that from Aaron, you hear that. And then you go, yep, just like I love this image. Like if you think that she's right next to you, like you're like, oh sweetie, now you get behind me. I'm the grown up and I get to drive the bus of this relationship, you know?
This is so dope. Heaviest hitting ever.
Like, don't you want to just talk to Jordan for another 6 hours and fuck all our other guests and just have her every week, right?
I know that we have to wrap up soon, and I just have to say, like, the beauty of what we're offering to our listeners, what Jordan is offering to our listeners, is that, like, this is so common. This is everything. This is why partnership with people is so difficult, is a huge piece of this, right? Like, I come from a Jewish mom. We have to be right. Everything depends on me being right, you know? So it's like to let that fucking go and just be like, you're right. You're right. It's what powerful changes could happen for me and for him, for them, for anybody. It's so sick.
Yeah, and I want to, as you say that, I'm like, yeah, it is, and you know, we also have to be able to like for a health in a healthy enough, good enough relationship. There's enough safety. There's enough desire for change. Like there's enough goodness for it to be okay to take responsibility for the characters, the negative characterization that my partner sees me. In some partnerships, it's not like it's it's not true. There's too much projection. It's all disowns shit of the other person. And it wouldn't be safe and it wouldn't be effective to yield. So I just want to clarify that. Like,
Of course. The foundation, we're talking about healthful, forward moving relationship, not the relationship I was in. There was no safety whatsoever. But like Paulina's relationship is built off trust and mutual respect and each an individual doing their work. And like, it's such a beautiful, beautiful partnership. And so it makes sense that like, yeah, it's unbelievable. It's like the most beautiful thing ever. I just want to watch them fuck.
That's really kind, Victoria.
I'm a kind bitch.
That makes me, you are undoubtedly, but that makes me feel really good. Thank you.
yeah, I feel really good knowing that for you.
Mhm.
Yeah, I am very lucky, and quite frankly, he'll love when he hears this episode that a lot of the things that he points out about me, I know deep inside I'm doing, and I find those parts ugly about myself, and so it's much easier to just go, "What do you mean? I don't show up that way." When I actually know I'm showing up in the way that he's presenting to me, and I'm embarrassed by it, and it's comes from wounded places. So there you go, Aaron. I said it to everyone. Here you go.
Here it is, Aaron. You're fucking right.
No, but really, he is right. I would say 99% of the time. And I think by you saying go deeper, like you saying that to me, Jordan, go deeper is like, okay, that's the piece that I need to then go, yeah, you're right. I was doing that.
You know what? You know what, Paulie? Go deeper so that he can go deeper. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about?
And I want to add something that if there's too much reactivity and you're too dysregulated in the moment, do it 15 minutes later, do it a couple hours later, do it the next day. Hey, I reflected on that conflict we had and I want to take accountability. Like, I really think of taking accountability is not just an olive branch or an acknowledgement of our partner's um, subjective world and emotional reality. I think of accountability as like, the etymology for humility is humus. It's the dissolve of the earth that happens on the forest floor. Every time I take accountability for a part of my beautiful adaptive child that did the best she could, and she learned these strategies, every time I do that with my partner, I reinforce my awareness about those parts of myself, and it's like I'm dissolving those parts of myself. So I really think about taking accountability as it's a real relational process that we both get something.
Oh my goodness, we could not be more grateful to have had you today. I mean, I don't even have words to respond to what you just said because my mind is blown, actually.
100% feel like I'm part of the earth melted in right now. Big stretches, like just feel
Stretch it
like a
up.
baby.
Well, Jordan, real quickly before we part ways, even though I could stay with you another 24 hours and chat.
It would be really fun.
It would be, right?
Like a relationship marathon.
An intensive. What's the best way for people to find your content, to be able to consume the magic that you produce?
So I really like to hang out on Instagram. You can find me there where I post. My Instagram is a love letter to my younger self. It's all of the things that I wish I'd known in my 20s to navigate relationships. Um, and you can join my newsletter. Send me a direct message to say hello, and I can add you to my newsletter. I have a 12-week relationship transformation course, The Art of Rupture and Repair, that I am about to launch in the next month, that I've been working for probably 10 years, but working on for the past
Wow, Mazal Tov.
4 months. And if you want to learn more about regulating your nervous system and coming into greater contact with your felt experience, I have a book called Somatic Therapy. It's a workbook, and get it, do the exercises, and you and your relationship will benefit from
Thank you from the
it.
bottom of our hearts.
Jordan, thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, and thanks all of our listeners. We love you
Yes.
so much. So much love, and if we rupture, we're gonna repair. You know what I mean?
We will. Okay, as we sign off, Victoria, give us your sign off.
Big, big, big heckin' love.
Big, big love to everyone. Thank you, Jordan, and we'll catch you later.